Angry Guy here, and today we're discussing why do women love low-value men so much? Why do women love low-value men so much? That is our question today. We have a video that we're just going to jump right into.
Why your value decreases by not walking away. In this video, I'll explain how your value as a dating partner decreases by not walking away from the wrong person. Welcome to the SCG Show. This video is officially sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month in the description below. Speaking from personal experience, with the right person and relationship, you can and will improve, grow, and actually get and become better. I'm being totally serious here. The person you become as the relationship evolves is unrecognizable, but in a very healthy, normal way. Your value increases. Now, not to attract other people as such, you just become a far better, more valuable member of society overall. Now, of course, when you're with the wrong person and relationship, the opposite is going to happen to you. The person you become as the relationship kind of evolves again is unrecognizable in a very unhealthy way. Your value decreases. You become the very worst version of yourself. In fact, you'll get so bad that you won't believe how low you will stoop. I've heard many people admit this, and I have done so as well. I couldn't believe the person I was when I dated them. I couldn't believe what I said, how I acted, how I behaved, and so on and so forth. When your value decreases, you need a lot of time to heal. You need a lot of time to recover. You need to process everything. You will need space. Now you might argue, but if my value increases with the right person, isn't that a toxic bad thing? As your value increases on both ends, with both partners, you and them, your relationship will blossom and grow with no desire to ever be single again, because you are in a beautiful connection with a beautiful person. Here are more reasons why your value decreases by not walking away. Guys, please share your thoughts. Feel free to share your experiences and opinions in the comments section below. People with high value have attractive partners and relationships because they think they deserve it. So what does a person with low value or a deteriorating value have? An unattractive partner. Possibly their personality and behaviours over their physical appearances are unattractive, and an unattractive relationship that they believe they must put up with and accept. Clara was a beautiful, smart girl. She kept attracting, though, the wrong men and had bad luck with dating. Then she chose a guy who looked like the safer option. He looked nice, easygoing, and she gave it a go. On their first date, she got a gut feeling something was wrong, as he was acting strange, but she ignored it. 5 years later, she endured a toxic relationship with a low-value guy. She settled, kept her head in the sand, plodded along, hoped things would magically turn around. Of course, they never did. Clara had to endure being cheated on, lied to, let down all the time, humiliated, and more. Her value decreased. She was not the same girl as before. She'd changed and regressed mentally and emotionally. But she also had a choice: to carry on putting up with the nonsense of that relationship and that partner, or to walk away. She chose the latter. Within 6 months of doing so, her personal transformation was incredible. She was happier, healthier, and in a much better place. She looked and felt more attractive than when she first dated that boyfriend of hers who was low value. That's how dangerous it can be with the wrong person and never walking away. You're settling for less, and by settling for less, you are regressing into a lesser version of what you can be. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss any of my videos. Your value will decrease because by not walking away, you're betraying yourself and what you believe in. Stefan met a girl off his social media. She was attractive and they had a connection with each other. But on that first date, he noticed that she had countless photos of herself on her phone and as her background. He asked her about this and she said, "Well, why not? I love myself." That was the red flag he should have noticed, that he was about to enter a relationship with a narcissist. This was going against everything he stood for.
It's intriguing and it's sad, but it's something that we all have to deal with. We all have to face it very often. When you're dealing with a low value woman, it will affect every aspect of your life. And the same is said when a woman is dealing with a low value man. Unfortunately, a lot of modern day women, they enjoy relationships with these types of men that are toxic. All right, guys, that have literally nothing to offer and they take everything. But these women are attracted to these guys because of their personalities. All right, good guy bad, bad guy good. This is the average mentality for a woman, except when she's staring down, old age, and now, hey man, she's got to pay the bill somehow. So she's now looking for a good guy, a nice guy. And really, let me tell you what nice is. Nice is stupid. Okay? Nice is stupid. That's really what nice means. Definition of nice is stupid. Okay? So she's looking for a stupid guy that's going to be dumb enough to take her on, to get into a relationship with her, all right, and mess up his life and his credit because of her narcissism. And this is exactly what ends up happening with so many guys. And listen to me, when you date these low value women and when you chase these low value women, it makes you a low value person. You can spend years building value for yourself, creating value, working hard, getting a good job, going to the gym, working on yourself, building up your prospects as a person. And then you start chasing after low value women, believing that they are high value just because of the way that they look. And they will pull you down. They will drag you into the depths of despair. It's sad to say it, but that's how most Western women are today. They don't even know that they're toxic. It's literally frightening, and it is dangerous to a young man's psychology to be with these people. All right, women do need to be held responsible for the choices and decisions that they make. But let's make this very clear: they didn't get there all on their own. Because every single guy that they hooked up with, every guy that broke their heart, took a part of them, took a piece of them. All right. And they are left broken, damaged, and emotionally unready for an actual relationship after going through all of these guys. But the problem is they can't turn back because now they're going to compare every relationship to the last relationship that they were in, which is completely unfair to the guys that they're currently dating, but that's how their minds work. And they cannot comprehend or refuse to comprehend that as they get older, their value declines for men, while as men get older, their value increases for women. A 20-year-old man is in the worst place possible because he is poor, he's stupid, and he has no real prospects at that moment. So he is forced to work for the next 10 to 20 years, hoping that he can create value for himself along the way. On the other hand, just to be clear, on the other hand, women, they win the lottery at 18 because at 18, their skin is vibrant, they're young, they're youthful, everyone wants to be in a relationship with them, and the world is an inviting place for them. And this is just how they view things. This is their experience. All right? And everything is free. However, as they get older, all right, their card starts to get declined. And sure, they can always find guys on Instagram that, want a quick hookup, but they can't find guys that actually want to commit to them. Any guy that they ultimately end up getting into a relationship at that point often turns out to be a low value guy that comes with serious problems and serious issues. A lot of these young women, they spent their 20s lying to good men, right? And then they end up in their 30s being lied to by bad men. Women did not want good men when they were young. And here's the sad thing about it. They're like, oh, you know what? He's too boring for me, because she wants excitement. Women want excitement because stability is boring for them. Stability is boring for women, for young women, because the entire world gives them everything for free. So they don't appreciate anything. They don't appreciate a roof over their head. They don't appreciate food on the table. They don't appreciate nice things. They don't appreciate being able to travel around the world. They don't appreciate any of it because it's all given to them at a young age. She turns 18 and you have guys in other parts of the world that are like, oh, you're so beautiful. Let me fly you to Paris and we will go to the Eiffel Tower and we will look down and gaze. All right. And I will take you shopping and you will buy whatever you want. And then women end up with this insane ego, believing that they are more valuable than they actually are because they were given everything just for existing. And that's a terrible thing. It's a truly horrible thing. So these women never have to develop themselves as people. They never have to work on their personalities. As guys, we'll take time to learn how to conversate. This is something women don't actually know how to do very well. The only reason why they can talk is because they talk to their friends and they go back and forth, but that's jibber jabber, all right? They don't actually know how to have a meaningful conversation with another human being. They don't know how to create value. They don't know how to listen. Even though they say men don't know how to listen, that's all guys actually do. All we do is listen. But it's not good enough for them. Women expect more from us than what they can actually do for themselves. You should never do more for a person than they can do for themselves without you. If she could not do this for herself without you, why are you doing this for her? Think about it very, very carefully. And some people will say, well, that doesn't make any sense, Angry. That's the whole point of being in a relationship. You do for the person what they can't do for themselves. No, that's not true. That's not true. She can go out, she can get a job, she can provide for herself. You don't want to be in a relationship. This is another lesson for you guys, for young men and even older guys, because some of the older guys haven't learned this lesson, unfortunately. You should never be in a relationship with a person who cannot live without you. Okay? What do I mean? A person who cannot survive without you. Okay? Person who can't survive without you. That's a very, very serious thing. All right? Because there are people, if she can't survive without you, in other words, if you walked out and she would become hungry and homeless without you, you don't want to be in a relationship with that type of person. All right? Because that will create more problems in your life down the road that you don't want. You do not want to be in a relationship with someone who cannot survive without you. It's a very bad thing. What you're bringing to the table as men is this: she can go out, she can earn her own money, she can pay her own bills, but because she's with you, you're doing those things for her. Okay? You're going out, you're earning the money, you're paying the bills. But let me make this very clear. You should look at what she can do for herself. You meet a woman and she's working in like a market or she's working at the mall, right? So you need to measure her. You need to measure what could this woman do for herself? What is she able to provide for herself? Look at that very, very carefully. And then take that and give that to her. Don't start going around buying her gold necklaces and diamond rings and expensive gadgets or any of that. Don't do any of that. Because now you're wasting your money and you're wasting your time, your resources. Those resources are valuable. That's crap. What you're doing is you're giving her the things that she could provide for herself, but now you're providing those things so that she doesn't have to struggle to get them. And that's how you're giving her value. And she needs to provide value back. Okay? This is why you have to interview these women. You have to get to know them. You have to know where they're coming from. You have to know what they have to offer. You have to have higher standards. You cannot be out there running around with these low value women because they will drag you down. And it's a terrible thing. Some guys don't understand the concept until they've experienced it for themselves. Do not mess around with low value women. Don't do it. There's a lot of these dudes that don't know how to identify a low value woman. Oh, she's slim and she's beautiful and all that doesn't make her high value. A woman's, as men, we need to comprehend this. The way a woman looks does not automatically make her high value. A friend of mine, actually a former friend, told me this many years ago. He said pretty girls are some of the worst girls out there. They're out there doing the most promiscuous things. Pretty girls are the most promiscuous. And it's the absolute truth. So you have to be very, very careful. She's not high value just because she's attractive. Okay? Some of the signs of a high value woman? Modesty is a sign of a high value woman. Integrity is a sign of a high value woman. The way she speaks is a sign of a high value woman. The way she carries herself is a sign of a high value woman. The number of guys that she's been in a relationship with. You'll say, how many guys have you been in a relationship with? How many guys have you dated? Let me show you all something. There was this woman. I saw her on Tamron Hall. And, I was just like, the television was on and, it was on, and I don't watch the show. Just make that very, very clear. But the TV was on and Tamron Hall came on and there was this Indian woman on there, American Indian. And she was like a 30-something-year-old virgin. Like not just like a 30-year-old virgin, like a 37-year-old virgin. I don't remember the exact age. And she had her best friend was a very handsome guy. He was a good guy. And this is one of the biggest problems. She literally was saying that she was looking for the right guy. She was almost 40 years old and she's still looking for the right guy. And her best friend, he's a big part of the problem. He was a good-looking, handsome guy, well-off guy, and he was enabling her. And he had been by her side all of this time, enabling her. And Tamron even asked her, "What about him? Why don't you choose him?" And he just sits there and smiles. And she goes, "I can't. He's my best friend. He's like a brother to me." That's absolute crap. And I felt bad for the simp, but at the same time, dude, you're messing it up. And he didn't say anything. He didn't go, "No, no, no, she's like my sister." No, he knows. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had enabled her for so many years because she was getting what she needed from him. So, because of that, she wasn't forced to give anything. So, she could go through tons and tons of guys. She had dated tons of men, dozens, maybe hundreds. She had gone through so many guys over the last couple decades. Bro, say it with me, guys. Decades. And she was not going to settle until she found the right person. And the irony is, the right person was sitting right next to her. But because he was giving his value away for free, it enabled her to keep on staying out in the streets and playing this game. And she put herself on a pedestal, believing that she was better than all these better than all these men that she was dating, better than each and every single one of them. And the interesting thing is that she doesn't seem to understand that when you turn 40, men don't want 304s, but at the same time, when a woman is 35 years old and a virgin, men are going to look at her and say, yes, sis, something's wrong with you. How are you a virgin at 35? Is there a physical problem with you? But you're not, I mean, are you sure? Do you actually like guys? Or are you, because she was actually a beautiful girl, but is it an issue with guys, or is it an issue, or is it a physical issue that you just don't have that type of attraction? Because these are the questions that are going to come up, right? What exactly is going on here, sis? You're 35 years old. You have, what are we walking into? Because realistically, if this is something you've been doing for so long, that there's basically no one that could ever meet your standards. You're playing games. And that poor guy, I say poor guy, but he's a part of the problem. This guy was handsome, well off, and enabling this woman, giving her boyfriend, basically being her boyfriend without getting the benefits of being a boyfriend. And because of that, it allowed her to do this crap for so long. And now she's getting to the point where she may not even be able to have kids anymore. And her brain is not like processing any of this. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that's what society has come down to. This is where we've arrived to in society. It's an extraordinary form of narcissism. Women cannot help themselves anymore. Can't do it, won't do it. Because delusion has taken over. It has taken a hold of their minds. It has taken a hold of their spirit. One of the reasons why women love dealing with low value men is because low value men enable them. Without these low value men, women could not have these extraordinary egos. And the more time you spend with a low value woman, the lower your value becomes. Men have to do a better job of understanding what separates a high value woman from a low value woman. Okay? You have these women out here talking about, Oh, I'm a professional. I'm 34 years old. I've had the clip. I'll show it to you. I'm a professional and I'm looking for a guy who's also professional and mature and all this other crap. And the guy who's interviewing her says to her, like, so does a woman body count matter? And she's like, no, no, no. And he's asking her why doesn't it matter? And she's going in all different directions. All right. She's acting like she's saying she wants a mature man and she's a professional. She doesn't need a man's money. And she's saying all of these things, right? But then at the same time, she's talking about saying that body count doesn't matter. In other words, she has a crazy high body count. And she's trying to say that any man who doesn't want to be with a woman who has a crazy high body count is insecure. That's madness. That is absolute and utter madness. But it's basically what's happened is women have backed themselves into a wall right now. Going out there, hooking up with Chad, Tyrone, Ray, Pookie, Quan. And now, this is what's happening. They got their reward and now they have to face the consequences that come with the choices that they've made. And they don't want to pay up. So now they're trying to change. They broke the social contract between men and women that have existed since the beginning of time. They broke that social contract. They shattered it. And they want to live in a society where no standards exist. They have standards of what they'll accept, right? But men are not allowed to have standards because they have fallen so far that they have very little value. They can't offer anything. The average woman in Western society today cannot offer a man anything. They can't. Even if she decides that she's going to, cook for him and clean for him, by the time she's in her 30s, if she doesn't know how to cook and clean by the time she's in her 30s, she's not going to be a good cook. She's not going to be good at cleaning because these are things she never learned how to do as a young woman. Cooking is something that starts off when you're a kid. I'm just being very honest with you. You start to get a sense for how to cook and how to put things together by the time you're like even 7 or 8 years old. I'm just being honest. This is how it used to be. That's how it's supposed to be. So by the time if you're like 30 years old and I'm gonna cook now for this man, you're not gonna know how to cook. You're not gonna know how to put love into the food. You're not going to understand the science behind cooking because there's a science to it that people learn over time. They're not going to know any of this. They're going to basically just cook generic crap. All right? Give their man some corn, rice, and chicken and call it a day and act like this is a lovely plate right here. Corn from the can. She's like, and look, I cook rice. A lot of these women can't cook rice, by the way. Some of y'all, we've talked about this before, and some of y'all try to act like it's nothing special. All right? A lot of these women can't cook rice. And some dudes are like, oh, well, there's a rice cooker out there. Bro, forget about the rice cooker. All right? Y'all need to get off the rice cooker. If you can't cook rice, all right, without a rice cooker, you can't cook. I'm just being real with you. If you can't cook rice without a rice cooker, you can't cook. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Rice is the most basic thing to make, but you have to know how to cook it. And most women can't cook rice. They burn water. They can't boil. A lot of these women can't even boil water. They burn water. How do you burn water? They burn water. Can't even remember to turn the darn pot off. So they enter into their 30s and they don't know what to do. Some of you think that it's so simple, like all you have to do this, and this, and this. You don't realize these are skills that you developed over time. I've been cooking since I was 7 years old. I've been cooking since I was 7, but that's different. I had to learn, you know, and then I had to refine my skills when I got older. There was a point in my life where I was a really good chef. Like I could like just whip up just about anything from scratch. And that's something most women can't do. They can't put love in their food. They don't know how to put these things together. And they are way too lazy to go to culinary school. I'm just being very honest with you. They are way too lazy to go to culinary school. And even if they did go to culinary school, a lot of the time they still end up just making generic food because they don't actually love the food that they're cooking. You look at these little old Italian ladies, and they love the food that they prepare. Because you can taste the love in their food, but it's just not like that with these modern day women. So they can't cook, they can't clean, they don't know how to conversate with a man because they've spent all their time being entertained, that they don't know how to offer value anymore. So they've never worked on their personalities. And as they're getting there, and here's another thing: a lot of these women don't work out, or they don't work out much. So in their teens, in their late teens and 20s, they were eating whatever they wanted to eat and living these very wasteful lives. And now in their 30s, their metabolism changes and everything is different. Everything is different. Because now they're gaining weight. And they're like, what's going on? Yeah, your body is not burning the calories the way they used to in your 20s, in your early 20s, and your teens. All right, you're an adult now. Okay, you're a big girl now. You need to be able to go to the gym. You need to be able to diet. You need to be able to, take control of your health and and everything else around you. It's not just about going to the doctor and getting some Ozempic. All right. You need to learn how to develop good and healthy eating habits. But a lot of these women don't know how to do any of that. It's the same thing with money. They had all these beta male orbiters around them. So they had this one guy that pays this bill, another guy that pays that bill. And this is how they live their lives. And now they're in their 30s and they have no financial literacy. So if they're in a relationship with a guy, he gives them money, they just spend all of it. And then he puts them into debt because they have no self-control. So they don't know how to manage money. They think they should just be able to go to the dude, ask him for money whenever they want it, and he hands them money. It's a sad, sad reality. You'll have a lot of these women that say things like, well, I work, he works, so it doesn't make any difference. But here's the truth about that. She may have a job, but whatever money he makes is the money that's used to pay all the bills. He's the one who's paying the mortgage. He's the one who's paying the electric bill. He's the one paying for food. Think about this very carefully. They both work, but he's the one paying for rent. He's the one paying for electric. He's the one paying for food. He's the one paying for their cell phones. He's covering all of the bills, all of the living expenses. So she has nothing else to worry about. So every dime that she gets is her money, and she can do whatever she wants with it. And she's still broke. Imagine how wonderful that is, where you don't have to pay for anything or worry about anything. And I'm not saying it's with every woman, but that's how the standard is today. That's the standard that has been set. And it's a horrible exchange. Because when you look at it like that, what utility is the man really getting out of her? Because then they both come home and she's saying that the man needs to contribute more to the household. Because him paying all the bills isn't not enough. He needs to do dishes. He needs to also clean. He needs to do. I mean, it's ridiculous. These are low value women. And that's how you end up in a relationship with one, and that's how you end up as a low value man, because you spend time with these women. This is why you have to learn as men. You have to walk away. Learn how to walk away and stay away. And once you put her out, never take her back.
He didn't like attention. He wanted a quiet life. His intuition told him, do not pursue her, walk away. He ignored his better judgment and went on to have a 3-year relationship with an entitled, spoiled woman. It was draining, frustrating, so painful. The number of times he had to bite his lip, be careful what he said, how he acted and behaved was crazy. He also turned into her personal driver, a photographer for the endless amount of selfies she wanted, and so much more degrading things. This wasn't what he wanted, deserved or enjoyed. He just had to grin and bear it. After all, he wanted a relationship, and he wanted it with this woman. Through stress and frustration, he gained a ton of weight, became angrier, and he also became a much worse version of himself over time. Stefan's value plummeted to an all-time low, until finally, at breaking point, he walked away. He had betrayed himself, and the longer he persisted, he was sucked down into a vacuum of turmoil, all originally caused by his own doing. By staying with this woman and persisting, he was betraying himself, and therefore decreasing his value. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. I've personally used BetterHelp and found it to be so effective that you can switch therapists easily. Therapy is a great... Click the link below or visit betterhelp.com/SCG show for 10% off your first month of online therapy today. Go ahead and take that first step to turning your life around with BetterHelp. Of course, mass confusion will take hold of us when we're persisting with the wrong person and relationship. You're metaphorically bashing your head against the brick wall, praying for change, growth, to be understood, connected, and some good times. Something toxic people do is they gaslight and love bomb their partners, especially at the beginning. It's the honeymoon phase, right before their masks slip and they go expose their real selves. They're agreeable, likable, very attractive. Like fools, we believe them and feel a strong desire for them like no one we've met before. And then the mask slips. They expose their toxic ways and show us who they really are. It confuses us. They're nothing like the person I fell in love with. How can I go back to recreate the beginning times? I'm in too deep. I mustn't give up. Therefore, right deep in that period of confusion, we look for scraps of happiness and joy that we've been robbed of for so long. We practice unbelievable patience, become very compromisable, and we're always making excuses. And in that period of trying to please a person who's so difficult, and of course trying to make it work with the wrong person, you exhaust yourself, drain yourself, become stressed, agitated, and very frustrated. By doing that, you are lowering your value, decreasing it day by day, eventually becoming the worst version of yourself, a version you never thought even existed. The confusion here is you want to make it work with the wrong person. But the reality is you'll never be good enough for the wrong person, no matter what you do. And in this confusion, in the time and energy wasted, you are decreasing your potential and value every step of the way. If you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and support my channel by becoming an official member. The link for memberships is in the description below. Only you can truly understand and determine if you are with the wrong person. If you conclude that's the case, walk away for your own sanity to save your future and increase your value. When I walked away from a toxic relationship a few years back, my value was at an all-time low. I was unhealthy, very overweight, very angry and miserable. Then I started doing a lot of work on myself, mentally and emotionally, getting to a place I believe is the healthiest I'd been in a while.
I'll share something with you guys. Over 10 years ago, I was at my physical peak. I was running a minimum of 3 miles a day. I would do boot camp in the morning. So, like, there was a gym, I'd go there, and we had a drill, you know, we had a drill instructor, and we would do boot camp and we would run laps and everything. And it was hell. And you had to be very, very fit. You had to be extremely fit to pull it off. You went in there, you learned, and then you did it. And it was hard. It was very, very hard on the body. And people would just watch anyone who ran boot camp. And if you could run boot camp, they were amazed with you because that meant you were strong. That was military exercises that honestly a lot of military people could not handle. That level of intensity on a daily basis. And I worked hard. I got my bachelor's degree from a top program, top university, top program in the world. I had built so much value into myself, and then what ends up happening is this: I'm constantly taking cues from women, trying to learn about women from women, and the more I tried to change myself to make women like me, the worst I ended up doing with them, and I began attracting the wrong kinds of women. And I dated this woman who was such a low value woman that she began pulling me down. And by the time she was done with me, and by the time I was forced to walk away from her, I could no longer take care of myself the way I was before. She had broken me. Not only had she broken me, she scarred me physically and mentally. And after that, I could no longer go on anymore. She completely broke me. And that was the beginning of my complete and utter downward spiral. I had gone through so much in my life, and she was the final straw. She was toxic. She was unhygienic. She was disrespectful. She was constantly challenging me and putting me down. She was actually a lot like my mother. In fact, my best friend literally went and he said, "You got a woman who looked just like your mother. She even has the same pasty skin as your mother." That hurt. That hurt. And it was so true. She looked exactly like my mother. And this is the type of person that I attracted. You have to know how to have value in yourself. My mother was the type of person that would put me down. And you know why she would put me down? She put me down because she didn't want me to leave her. This is a trait that a lot of women have. They will destroy at least one of their children, specifically their sons. They will destroy one of their sons psychologically so that they can never go out there and function in the world. And they know how to do it. They will put them down. They will put them down in everything that they do. They will belittle them. Okay? They will use food. This is why you'll end up with, when you see these young men, right? You'll often see some of these young men on these shows like, 600 pounds and whatever. And then there's always something you notice. A lot of the time you'll notice that their mother, right? You'll notice their mother. And you're like, what the heck is going on? And sometimes their mother is also overweight, but then there's also a lot of the time when their mother is not overweight. And you'll say to yourself, wait a minute, how is this guy 600 pounds and his mother is not? So clearly she has good eating habits and her son doesn't. This doesn't make any sense, right? And you'll say, well, when did he end up getting so fat? This was something that started in childhood. This was something that started in childhood. She did this. She did this. She made this. She created all of this. She fed him this junk food. She didn't teach him how to have eating healthy habits. She's the one who gave him that food. She's the one that put him in that prison because she wanted to make sure he would never leave her. The only way that men can escape the box is when they say, I've had enough and I'm going to walk away. It's a hard road because men in the past had older men. They had wise men who taught them what it was like to be a man. A man has to learn how to be a man. You don't know what it means to be a man if you're not taught how to be a man. And what they've done in society is that they've got rid of all the masculine role models and replaced them with soy, with effeminate men, with men that condemn masculinity, with men that reject masculinity. That's why we live in a society today that says that masculinity is toxic, because they want weak men. All right? Women want low-value men because these low-value men allow them to do whatever it is that they want to do without facing any social repercussions and any consequences. And women are very short-sighted. They don't care about protecting the country. They don't care about things like inflation. They don't care about, the future of the world. They are just focused on right now and having what they want right now. And no amount is ever enough for them. They always want more. They always want more. I remember watching a video where, a guy that's worth like $100 million said that everything is free. It's like everything is free when you're wealthy like them. But the thing is that when you have a woman, these modern day women, you can give them $1 billion and they can spend $1 billion. A lot of these women today would lose $1 billion because that's just their mindset. They are such consumerists that they will spend money on anything. They will burn money on anything, on things that have literally no real value, and end up broke and say that it's a man's fault and it's society's fault. And you'll say, bro, you had $1 billion and now you're flat broke. And they'll say patriarchy. Patriarchy. This is the society we've created. And it's because of low value men why we're in this situation. Because guys, being a man is hard. And there's a lot of men that are trying to live off the backs of other men because they don't want to be men. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to struggle. That's why a lot of them are fighting for socialist ideals, because socialism is easy, where everyone gets something for free. Oh, the government will pay your rent. Oh, the government will give you money. Oh, the government will provide food for you. Everything is provided by the government. It doesn't matter the fact that the taxes are now sky high and the government controls where you live and what you eat and what you can do and what you can say. None of those things matter because you get to live for free, right? And in a normal society where you don't have these safeguards, men have to work and provide for themselves. You go to other countries, you don't have this type of abundance. All right, you don't have this system. And without the system, people have to strive, and women actually have to create value. But like I said, most modern day women can't create value. That's really it. And they think that this is going to go on forever because America is a rich country and the richest country in the world, and we have endless amounts of resources. And here's the thing, Even when a crash hits, these same people will screech and holler and they will never get off their high horse. They will never ever self-reflect. Any woman that does claim that she's reflecting, she's just deflecting because she sees that the writing is on the wall. Survival, her chances of surviving have decreased substantially, and she's just trying to make up for. She's just trying to bide her time and find some fool that's going to take care of her as now everything is going downhill for her. That's the reality.
Then I met my current partner, who from strength to strength has inspired me to grow even more. I've done the same with her. We're trying to get better daily, learn more, heal from our wounds of the past, and recover. My value has increased, as has hers, but not so we can date someone else, so that we can as a couple become the best versions of ourselves and build a relationship that can last, especially in a day and age where people give up too easily.
What do you guys think about this? What are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts. My thoughts. Why do women love low value men so much? You heard what I have to say. I want to hear what you say. Let's talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.